Exclamation everybody, and welcome back to Soul Zero. Now you're asking yourself probably, why am I sitting here on the title screen? Well, I've noticed that there's been a resurgence of new players into Soul Zero. The dev has mentioned this as well, and I've seen a spike on hits of my very first Soul Zero playthrough way back in the day when it was still very early alpha. And some of the concepts that apply then don't necessarily apply now. Some of them do, some of them don't. And I thought I would take a break just for this episode from the lunar colony that I was working on here in the Sea of Tranquility. We'll come back to this next episode, but I thought I'd take the opportunity to sort of give an extended, maybe 30-minute training for those of you who are new to the game and not quite sure how to get through. Obviously, the astronaut training here is actually pretty good, but it doesn't give you everything. It doesn't start you on the launch pad and show you where to go from there. And so I thought maybe I should try to chime in here. Since I've been playing the game for over a year now, I kind of know some things here and there. I'm not great at the game by any stretch of the imagination, but I might be able to at least help guide you a bit if you're struggling here and there. Also, a side note, if the developer of the game is listening right now, those of us in the closed beta, and that's all I'm going to say, have not yet received the latest update. I am running right now on 0.84, but I have downloaded it manually, so just a side note there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, for the purposes of training, we're going to just take Cydonia here because I haven't done it in this iteration. I did it way back in the day, but not in this particular version after we upgraded and lost save games and all that stuff, which was way back in the day. The save games are now separate. So let's do a new game. And normally I play with frequent dust storms, meteorite impacts, frequent disasters. But for the purposes of training, I'm going to set this to none. And that way we won't get too interrupted by things here and there. But I'll show you along the way where you can start to improve things. So here we are on the main screen, the main rocket, the main launch screen back on Earth. You have your set of rockets up here. You start out with just the one rocket, which is this main workhorse, which has a detachable crew module that comes off, and that has all of your supplies in it. Eventually, once you get a launch pad on Mars, you'll be able to get the larger rocket, which will allow you to bring crew members up. Right now, you can only bring astronauts, forklifts, methane extractors, and small rovers and stuff. And food, water, and supplies, obviously. And then as we progress further, there's two more rockets. One that's just a crew rocket, which I have unlocked because I've done certain things in the game. And the weather satellite one, which comes much later. You can see there's a weather satellite down here. That comes far later in the game. You don't have to worry about that right now. But our main goal is our astronauts. Obviously, we can do a launch every 120 souls. That's when the launch window is optimal between Earth and Mars. And we need to make sure that we survive the first at least couple souls so that we can get a good pattern going, a good supply going. So astronauts require obviously they require shelter, but they require 2 kilograms of food and 1 kilogram of water per soul. So there's two ways you can start here. You can either not take an astronaut at all your first time out and just take a rover and some supplies and a forklift, because you can actually move them all remotely and get yourself established. That might be a good idea for if you're starting out. The other thing you can do is you can bring an astronaut along, even though they are kind of heavy. You can bring an astronaut along, but as long as you don't deploy that astronaut, they won't consume any food or water just yet. Now, I don't know if that'll be something that will change later on in the game, but as it stands right now, as long as you don't deploy them, they don't consume anything. That's not the case for colonists. That they will come later. So what we're going to do is I am going to bring an astronaut. I am going to bring a rover. The methane extractor is only for this particular rocket, and it's only for the lander module of this rocket. What it will do is it will You can deploy it. It will automatically attach to the thing you deployed it to, and it will extract methane out of the atmosphere of Mars and allow you to convert that to fuel so that you can then launch this. It's not necessary to bring it. It's there mostly as a convenience thing, because once this lander lands, you can't put anything around it. There's a nice big block of space that you can't build around. So that allows you to sort of deploy things, get all of your stuff off of there, and then launch it off and not pay the price. You won't have methane extractors yet and whatnot. I don't usually bring it with me, because eventually, as long as I pick a good landing spot, it'll be out of the way and I won't have to deal with it until it comes time to, until I have some fuel supplies together and we can deal with it. So I'm not going to bring one with me because I need all the space right now. As you can see, we're at 6,300 kilograms. We start out 6,000. You get up to 7,000 is the maximum limit for this rocket. So I tend to focus as much of my effort on the supplies as I can. So food, we would need in theory at least 120 kilograms of food. Actually, it's 2 kilograms. We would need in theory at least 240 kilograms of food to survive properly if I were to deploy the astronaut right away. I'm not going to. I'm going to just leave it at about 150. And water, we are going to do 120 for now until we can find some water. And the rest will be crates. So let's get as many crates as we can. We can get 7 crates, and then I can just top it off with some food. And there we go. All right, time for launch number 1. All right, welcome to Mars, my friends. And what we have to do with this lander is select the landing site. Once you get a landing pad and you use the larger rocket, it will always land in the same spot. You can only have one landing pad, so you have to be careful how you manage that, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Right now, I think what I want to do is make sure it's out of the way, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I have enough room to actually start the colony without too much problems, because there are lots of rocks around here that we will have to clear out. You can't build on the rocks, as you can see. So I'm going to put this guy just down here. And there he goes and lands. Excellent. So now we've done that, we can click on it and we'll get our rover started. I'm going to leave the astronaut on there for now. So let's grab our rover. And we can, thankfully in this version, I'm getting ahead of myself. I can switch to mineral view here with this little button. And thankfully in this version, the routing system works a lot better than it's ever worked before. So first of all, we'll turn Explorer on. So now he's going to be exploring. And then when we hit route here, we can set up a route for him to explore on. So we can go along this way, along this path. As long as it stays green, your rover will be fine. In previous iterations, we didn't have this little green bar, so it was hard to tell, and your rover would get stuck on things and then stop moving along its path. Now, thankfully, we have a very good system in place. And you can stop this at any time just by right-clicking at the end point there, and then the rover will just follow this path around. Trying to get as much coverage with the rover as I can, and actually at this point I can probably speed up by using the greater than and less than symbols here. So we'll go to greater than symbol. We can speed up to 2 times. You can slow down to half speed if you want. So good. Our rover has already found some ice and some clay, 2 things that we really need. There's also some ore here, generic ore, which will, for me, is not as important. For you starting out the game, that will be very important. For me, I have unlocked a few things because I've completed a few challenges, so the ore is not quite as important to me because I can do an ore mine. But we'll see that in a little bit, hopefully, if everything goes to plan here. All right, so with this going, what are we at? We're at 78 souls right now, 79. Let me slow this back down to normal speed. So we have more than enough food right now for our guy to survive. So I'm going to deploy him. And I'm going to grab a supply crate here. We're going to build a water cryo tank over top of this ice, and that will extract the ice from the subsurface, and pump it into a water tank, which can hold, I think, 1,000 liters. and that will constantly replenish throughout the game. So it's important to put these down as soon as you can. And unfortunately, it's far enough away from the lander here that my astronaut's going to have to go for a nice little walk. But so far, so good. It should be noted that these landers supply 2 beds for your colony. It's important to remember that because... Yeah, go up here, guy. Because as we get into the later game and we actually have colony modules and stuff, as you launch these things off, you will lose beds. And if you don't have enough beds for your astronauts plus your colonists, you're going to have a very bad day. A very, very bad day. All right, so this guy actually stopped for some reason. That's weird. All right, let's tell him to explore. Let's get rid of that route. I guess he got caught up on there after all. All right, so we'll do this. Do a little zigzag here. What I'm trying to find, most importantly right now, is some methane. Oh, that's right. We don't have enough power, so that cryo tank is not actually working right now because I need a solar panel. I always forget this. Always. Also, yeah, our supplies here are going down. You see, we're using we're getting 6.3 liters, even though we have no power, which is interesting. But our food supplies are going down by 2 each soul, as it said in the thing. And we have a new launch available, which I'd like to do as soon as possible. Let's get this. I think I need 2 supplies first. Okay, let's get my astronaut. Get the solar panel down, and then we'll get another launch going. All right, so we got a solar panel that should be providing. Yeah, we're up to 4 kilowatt hours of power, and then we've got our cryo tank should have enough power now. Also, if you look here, you can see your resource profile. Oop, there we go. You can tell you what your power, food, water, methane, and all that is as far as the graphs go. And over here, you can see oxygen and all these other things once your resource units and everything. So you can click on here, and it will click on your astronaut for you and find them. I always have the problem of losing my astronauts all the time. I can't find them, so this is always a nice thing to have. Of course, you've got your panel up here giving you all kinds of information and alerts when they come up. But enough talking, we're running low on food. Let's get another launch going here. So head back to the launch pad, and what I want is a forklift because that will help quite a bit because it has some automation to it. And then I want, I'm going to need a bunch of food and a bunch of supplies. Get as many as I can here. So I want some supply crates. So let's taper off on the food until let's get 200 kilograms of food right now. And then I need enough that I can build this thing. So let's do 200. Not getting enough supply crates out of this, but we're gonna have to deal. So 3 crates is all I can muster right now, and 220 kilograms of food. Like I said, it's more. Let me just launch instead of talking. Like I said, it's probably a better idea to launch without an astronaut first, and then from there, just find all your resources and find good landing spots, and then come back with an astronaut and start doing things. Obviously, you can do things without the astronaut. You can't place buildings down, but you can at least move supplies around with your forklift. So that's always a thing. Let's put this guy here. This guy has stopped moving. Oh, he got to his end of his route. Okay. You can come down here. Where's my? Yeah. Okay. You can route a little bit further this way, and then I want you to go up here because it looks like there's some supplies up, or some resources up there. Really need methane because methane is what fuels the colony. This is the most important thing right now. So come over here, and we've got some food for the moment, but what I really do need is food. So we're going to start building our colony. It looks like right here will be good because there's no resources here that I'd be building on top of, at least from the looks of the rover. So we're going to build, and we're going to say, I usually start with a 4-way hallway. Once you place the first segment of your colony, every other segment must connect to it that has to be connected to a segment. So you can't just put this here and then put another one out here. You got to follow. Everything's got to connect. So be very cautious where you place your cornerstone. This becomes basically the cornerstone of the build. So be careful where you put it, because if you have a lot of rocks around and stuff, or natural, choke points, you're going to make it much harder on yourself. And a lot of these maps do have these very, very limited space to build when you first start, so you're going to be stuck with something at some point. So what I want to do here is I want to make a greenhouse, which takes 3 power, which we have just enough for. So we're going to have to build another. We're going to have to build another solar panel, because new for this version, or for some, new for a couple versions before this, in order for your greenhouse to work, you actually need power. You need power for the greenhouse. You need oxygen in addition to power. It used to be you just needed power and that was good enough, but now you need oxygen for all the things, which makes sense, because that is how that works. I'm going to set my forklift to automate. What that does is the forklift will go off and do certain operations on its own, like it'll grab resources off of there, it will try to build things that I've put down, and also try to repair things as they are needed for repairs. So he should go off and, yeah, he's going to go and finish this off for me, which is very good. Looking at my souls, my next launch window is at 264 souls, so we gotta survive until then. It's going to be a little bit close. It's going to be a tad close. We also don't have any more supplies, and that's why I'm saying it's going to be close. What we really need is an oxygen generator. We're not going to get that right away, and a straight hallway. I will put a straight hallway here right now, once supplies are available. We don't have any at the moment, so we need to find some methane while we're sitting here waiting. All right, so I want to let's have him come down here, see if there's any. There's some ice here, which is good. There's some clay. Still no methane visible anywhere yet. Methane is in green, so once that becomes visible, we'll know where to put our methane cryo tank. Again, that's very important for fuel. We'll need that if we ever want to get anywhere in the game, trust me on that one. The small methane generators you can bring up do not contribute to your overall methane supply. They only work for the thing that they're connected to. That's why I didn't bother with it. So maybe in the future that would be a good change to have it do that, because that would give you some methane, even a small amount at the very beginning, at the very early stages like this. But for now, that is not the way that works. All right, good. So now we got some oxygen flowing here, and if I go into the mineral resource view, you can see these little red hashes here. That means that the doors, which are, if I click on a segment, you can see there's 4 different doors for this one because it's a 4-way intersection. That means those doors are not closed, or are closed, I should say, not open. That's what I meant to say. This green light here indicates that this hallway now has oxygen, as you can see here. You can also see what your oxygen looks like from this little tab here, what your rooms have as far as oxygen goes, and whether it's low or nominal. So now that the oxygen generator is connected here, it gives me this room some oxygen, so we will open up this door into this segment, and now you'll see the oxygen level will start to go up here, and then I'll open up the door to the to the greenhouse, and then once this gets to adequate oxygen, the greenhouse will become active, and we'll start to have some actual food supplies coming in. There we go, and now we're producing 2 kilograms per soul of food, which is more than enough food, or actually just enough food for our astronauts. So our supplies are not going to go up, but they're also not going to go down, which is good. We've bought ourselves some time. And there's our first little warning thing that came up. Our solar panels need repair and maintenance. This is the problem with being on the Martian surface is that there's a lot of dust, and your solar panels will collect dust over time. Now, because I didn't have the astronaut select it, the astronaut automatically went over and started to clean that off for me. You can also click on the astronaut and hit R for repair, which is also the button over here, and repair it that way. The thing is, as you get more and more solar panels, which you will need a lot of them as your colony grows, that warning is going to start coming up far more often, and enough that it even makes me, like, you know, I get tired of it after a while. So the next upgrade you really want to do is to try to get a geothermal plant as soon as you possibly can. But in order to do that, as you can see, these are all cut off, and I should probably talk about some of these. The geothermal plant requires a geology lab in order to build it. And a geology lab, if I click on that, requires 8 population. So clicking on these things will tell you what they need. So really your first hurdle that you have to get over is you need to get 8 colonists up here. Your astronauts do not... Do your astronauts count as population? I guess they kind of do. I don't know if they actually count as population or not, or if it's just the colonists. But you want to get colonists up here. You want to get at least 8 so you can start to get your geology lab and your biology lab. The geology lab allows you to research armor plating, which for those of you who are playing the game with disasters on, you've probably been hit by meteors at some point already. Those, you can have some armor plating that you can build on your station, and that will help protect a lot of the segments from being damaged. Unfortunately, that is a later game thing, believe it or not, because even though as I showed you on the build menu there, you've got the geology lab, you can't research the armor plating until you have a radar array, and that's where the weather satellite comes into play. You need to launch a weather satellite to have that, so on and so forth. But before we get even any point to that, there's a whole tree here and everything else. There's two things we really need right now. We need colonists. In order to get colonists, we need power, and we need food, and we need a launch pad and a habitat. So we've got enough power. We've got about 3 kilowatts of power right now. We're probably going to need another solar panel. But before we do that, I at least need a habitat here. And that gives me enough beds for 6 colonists. So we want to make sure that I do that. I also really need some methane. Did my guy find any methane anywhere? I don't think he did. I really need you, guy, to find me some methane, because without methane, all we're going to be able to do is one. We're only going to be okay. Come on. He does get a little hung up sometimes. So routes this way. Without methane, we're only going to be able to do one launch of the large rocket. That is to say. Because we need to refuel the rocket, and we won't be able to do that if we don't have methane to fuel it with. So we're not going to get very far until we actually find some of that. And wow, he is not following that route at all. He's not. He's like, screw your route. I am going the way that I want to go. That's hilarious. I've never seen that before. Just decide to go off and do his own thing. I'll grab. Oh, no, I'll get my astronaut. And I will grab a box of supplies. We'll put a methane cryo tank up there. Try to fit it in here, hopefully. And get as much green underneath of it as I can, so it gets the maximum yield. If you put it on the edge of the field, it's gonna drop off naturally. If you put it in the middle of the field, you'll get as much as you can get out of it, as much as there is there to be had. And every field obviously is different. Oh, here's one down here. This is a much better methane field. Excellent. Very good. Yes, this is a much nicer one. So I really should have my astronaut come over here and do this. But it can't hurt to have even more than what we have. So yeah, this is nice. This is a really nice one. We can get a couple cryo tanks down on this field here. So my astronaut has placed that. Let's come back down here. Do we have any supplies? Hang on there a minute, guy. Unautomate yourself. You come over here. Grab that. And build a methane cryo tank right here. Please. And then you are going to come down and build that one first, because that's going to give us more yield than this one up here will. And then I'll let them build the other one. Alright, let's move our rover out of the way. Good job, rover. You have earned your pay. You've earned your pay. Alright, you go over there. And you come over and complete that, and I'll let my astronaut go and work on the solar panels, because as you can see, they've lost enough efficiency. Since they're dirty, they lose efficiency as far as the power goes, and they've lost enough now that we're low on power, actually, which is not good, because we're going to start losing water and stuff to frozen pipes. But there we go, we're back to 1 kilowatt hour. Alright, so astronaut, where the heck are you going? Where the heck are you going? Is there... Oh, there's more supplies over here. Oh, excellent. Oh, that's what you're doing. I was wondering what you're doing. I want you to build another solar panel because we need it. We need it desperately. Alright, and then you can automate and go off and do your thing up there. Get me some more methane. So we got some methane coming in. What is this guy doing? He is doing 19 milliliters per minute, which is good. He'll be filled up pretty soon. 1,000 liters there. This guy's doing 24 as far as water goes, and he's already filled to the capacity, which is why you're not seeing any positive numbers here. So that's good. Very good. We're making with the progress. So with that said, where did you go? I want you over here, please. This guy's coming back down. Oh, you know what? He's gonna complete that. That's why my astronaut was standing there. This guy is completely done for. We don't have anything left on him. How much do I need? I need 688 liters of fuel. 688 liters on these guys. Now, the thing to note here is you'll see on these landers it says fuel 14%. That means I still had 14% fuel left when this guy landed, so I get a little bit of discount as far as how much water and methane is required to launch this guy. It's important to note that when I get a landing pad, the same thing is true there. You get like 8% fuel is left in it as long as I stay on Mars, but as soon as you go back to the launch pad and come back, you will lose that little bonus. It doesn't happen with the Mars landers, but it does happen with the large rockets. So keep that in mind, bear that in mind, because that is the difference between 1,400 and so liters of methane and 1,600. So it can make a difference in the long run. Speaking of which, we need to build another straight hallway right here. I'm using tab, by the way, to spin the segments around. And then I want to build another 4-way intersection there. No supplies are available. No, there are supplies available. Trust me. Trust me on that one. No, I didn't. Okay, well, we'll just put it up this way then. Which kind of sucks because that's going to take away some of that, but I think I can work around it. Alright. Launchpad is quite large, so you gotta make sure you have enough room for it, and with everything else around here it was not quite roomy enough. Alright, this guy I'm gonna automate, let him do his thing. Let the astronaut come over here in case these require some maintenance. And what do I need as far as power goes? I forget what the power requirements are for this guy. What's the build menu say? Oh, he just takes 1 power. Okay, that's good. That works. That works for me. Alright. And we got 2 more on there, and okay, we will have enough supplies. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. What is the oxygen? I don't have this open yet. Let's open this up to the oxygen. And there we go. We've got ourselves a launch pad. Excellent. And I've got that all pressurized, hopefully. So that gives us access to the larger rocket, which has a higher capacity, and will enable me to get colonists up here, which I desperately need. Also, keeping in mind here, if I click on this guy, I do want to launch some of these guys off. So if I refuel and launch this guy, you'll see that my beds have now gone down to 10. This gives 6 beds. As long as there's oxygen in here, it gives 6 beds. And as you can see, it's only at 14%. So I'm going to need an oxygen generator lickety split here. In fact, I think I can build one. I don't like to put it right next to the food supply like that, but I might have to do it. Here. I know I can't put it on this side because it won't work. If I put the habitat slightly extends a little bit beyond where it's at, so you don't want to put too many things. You want to have a segment between the habitat and other things, because it won't. Even though you can fit something in there, it won't quite work properly. So you want to be sure you give it a little bit of room. And we have another oxygen generator. That should help out with the oxygen down here, right? 16%, 18, yep, 20. It should be up to almost. All right, good. Very good. This is up to 20 now. Excellent. Okay. So now we've done this, we have to wait for our launch window, which is coming up here. And we will get a large rocket. Now this is where interesting things happen, right? The large rocket can only land here, and I can only have one of these on a map. So the important thing to keep in mind when you're bringing large rockets down is to always make sure you have enough methane to clear the launch pad. Because if you don't clear the launch pad, you can't land another one. You can only land these guys, the smaller rockets. So if you're running low on supplies and stuff, this can really be a log jam if you run out of methane and all that along the way. All right, let's go back to the launch pad. And we're going to just do, let's go to the large rocket. As you can see, this is the crew module rocket, which only allows you to do colonists. And I forget how I unlocked this. I don't remember exactly what I did to unlock this. It was a challenge in the game that you have to do. Like, there's several challenges along the way. Like, make sure your colonists have no colonists die before you get to, I think, a population of 20 or something like that. And several other things along the way that unlocks building stuff, as well as I believe this rocket too, and several other things. There's also one where you declare independence, and you have to be independent for, I think, 7 years in game, I believe it is. I always forget what number it is, but it's something like that. 4 or 7 years. I forget what it is. But it tells you on the menu when you're selecting a map. You can hover over the right hand side, and it'll give you the challenges, and those challenges unlock things. But we want the large rocket here, which gives me access to some of the heavy machinery that I need, like a mineral extractor. I will need that. A bulldozer, which will push some of those rocks out of the way, and also allow me to push them into the geology lab, which it uses to do some more research. But right now I need some colonists. Now, I should bring 8 up. I'm only going to bring 4 because we're going to be low on the food and things of that nature. So I want to top off all my food. The water will be fine for what we have, but I know I'm not growing enough food right now. So I want to at least get 4 up there so I have some colonists walking around and staving off the inevitable as much as possible. I want a mineral extractor. And then the rest will be, I should bring this up, but I won't bring it up this time around. The rest should be supply crates, which we can only get 5 crates up there, and I'll top it off with water, even though I don't need it. All right, this is the best we can do. Let's do this launch. All right, our colonists have arrived, and as you can see, they unload one at a time, which is a change from earlier games where they would all unload at the same time and then suck all the oxygen out of whatever they unloaded into and end up dying just from the fact there was too many people in one segment at once. Thankfully that has been fixed. And we've got our mineral extractor, which we will need, and that deployed in a really weird spot, but thankfully it's okay. Sometimes it does get hung up, so you gotta be quite careful. Now the mineral extractor will do as it says on the tin, give me some resources. The things I need the most are the clay and gypsum. Gypsum is the white stuff up here. So both of those are the things I need the most. So I'm going to send this guy up here then. And I'll need a mineral extractor eventually. Right now I need the resources for some food more than I need that. So let's go to build, and let's say a greenhouse here. And I'll try putting a greenhouse here. Hopefully this will work out okay. Normally putting something right next to an oxygen generator doesn't always work well, so I need to I'm crossing my fingers to make sure this is okay. That will only help out a little bit though. That'll give me two food per soul, and as you can see we have a deficit of 4, so I'm gonna need another one. I luckily have some room up here for another one, so we can do that. So if I build another greenhouse... Oh, actually, do I have enough power for that? I'll be right on the cusp of power. Let's do a... Whoops, whoop. Okay, wait a minute. Resume. There we go. Let me build another solar panel right here, so that this we don't run low on things. All right, my Mars miner has arrived here, and I'll just have him mine for now and keep him busy. All right, and this guy is doing good. Our water supply is fine. Our warning went away, which is nice, so we're still doing okay for the time being. All right, so we've got some power now. I want to build that other greenhouse. Right. Oh, it's not going to let me do it there, right? But I can do it on this side. Excellent. Okay, one way or the other I was going to get that down there. Hopefully. Alright, the miner is done that one section. So come over here and do some more mining. And solar panels need repair and maintenance, as they always do. You go over there, and hopefully he will go and repair that stuff while this guy finishes the greenhouse. Still at a deficit of 4. Oh, that's because I didn't open the... I always forget that. I didn't open this up to the auction. That's why we're still at a deficit of 4. Gotta remember that. It used to be that you didn't need to give it oxygen, and it would still produce all the stuff that you needed. That is not the case anymore. Alright, so we got a deficit of 2, so we're okay for a little while here. I should be able to get another launch up here before that becomes a problem. We don't have any more supplies, so we can't finish this off, unfortunately. We're 1 supply short, as I always tend to be. But as I was saying here, 8% fuel is left on this, which means I get a discount to 1472 liters of methane and 368 liters of water. If I leave and come back with another launch, then this will be 0% fuel, and I will need to pay the full price. So just keep that in mind right now. We have enough methane to do this, so let's refuel and let's launch this guy. So we clear it away for the next launch that I want down here at Sol 543. What do we got here? So I think we have enough food for our colonists to survive until that point. It looks like it. And we'll get another large rocket launch here. We'll get... we'll have to top it off with food again. And... I would like to bring more colonists up, but we're not at that point yet. I need to get some more beds up there first before I do that. But... we've got that, and... what else do I need? Oh, I just need supplies, right? It's a whole lot of supply crates. Get 20 supply crates, and then can I actually get this guy up here? Not really, but 22,600. No, that's way too much. All right, we'll just top it off with water then. There we go, and we shall launch. All right, our supply drop has arrived. Our forklift went and repaired or completed this construction. So we should now, once the oxygen goes in there, we should start to get another 2 kilograms per soul of production. Excellent. Unfortunately, that also put us up over our limit for, well, there's a slight drain on our water supplies because all these do you know, drain water as well because they are greenhouses at the end of the day. So you got to keep an eye on that. But so far so good. Now I wonder, can I build a straight hallway right here? Yes, I can. Excellent. That is what I was hoping you would say, game. That is what I was hoping you would say. Do that, and then this will be an offshoot here for other things. And then we got 7 more supplies here. I should build another pallet. And what I'd like to do, I'm going to build a pallet up here, and then I'm going to build... Can I build the 3D printer yet? Do I have that? No, that requires a geology lab. Okay. I want to get a 3D printer as soon as I can also because that will enable me to not have to do so many supply runs, or not have to have so many supplies come up on supply runs. But that pallet there does help out a bit with some of the unloading of these rockets. All right. Well, I'd say that is the basics. That is your the 101 Soul Zero 101 tutorial. Next time I'm going to pick up from here and I will show you some of the more advanced quote-unquote things, assuming I don't have a disaster along the way. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time.